My sister got married to my brother-in-law about 3 to 4 months ago, and I didn't really get to see much of them after the wedding, as they went on their honeymoon and I went back to work. But once a month, our family all gets together, and my parents host a huge feast. Since this took place a week ago, it was for the month of August. During this dinner, my brother-in-law was being extremely weird towards me. He was complimenting my body, ignoring my sister, and just straight up acting so strange. It was completely unexpected for several reasons. 1, his wife was sitting right next to me, and 2, he has only been married a few months. Also, he's just never spoken to me like that before, and we were not close like that. I felt really uncomfortable, and I'm sure it transpired to the rest of the room because WTF. Except it was weird because nobody was pointing anything out. Imagine if he said, "Nice, looks like you've been on your diet, your Lululemons are looking huge," and no one pointed it out. That's not what he said, but you get the picture. I was extremely confused and just wanted to leave. I left early, but when I got home, I just felt so icky, I don't even know how to describe it. I decided to message my sister and let her know that his behavior made me uncomfortable. I told her that it was also concerning that he felt comfortable enough to say these things in front of my parents and brother. I explained that if she didn't feel comfortable being in the middle, I wouldn't mind explaining this to him myself. His behavior was so unnerving that I FaceTimed my boyfriend, who was away for work in the US. I told him it was weird and how suddenly my brother-in-law's behavior towards me went from that of siblings to this horribly uncomfortable situation. He was understandably pissed. My sister didn't respond to my texts until the next day, and she asked to meet up. So we did, and I was expecting her to be upset and to have him apologize for what he said. Instead, she admits it was all a test, and I passed. What do you mean it was a test? Turns out, she had her husband do those things on purpose, because she wanted to see how I would react if he had said those things to me and meant them. My reaction and choice to message her afterward told her I could be trusted around him. I was offended, and I asked her why she thought I couldn't be trusted. She said it was because I was the reason why her previous marriage fell apart, and she had to be sure this time around. I don't think this was my fault, but for context, my sister has been married before when she was 27, and the divorce was about 10 months into the marriage. Her ex was a psycho, to say the least. He had known me longer than he did my sister, and I was the one who had introduced them. They got along well and eventually started dating, and it looked like the healthiest and most romantic relationship to ever grace this planet. During their marriage, I was staying with them because it was a closer commute to work. They had extra bedrooms, and I would pay rent and cook and clean for myself. Things were relatively normal, but then some of my undies and more intimate pieces of clothing started going missing. I just assumed it got mixed up in my sister's laundry and would turn up eventually, but it was happening more frequently, to the point I was buying new undies weekly. I kept pressuring my sister to admit she was stealing my stuff, but she was adamant it wasn't her. We argued a lot, and something I hadn't even considered as an option was the real reason. My former brother-in-law was stealing my intimate belongings. I don't know, nor did I want to know what he was doing with it when I found out, but I was so disgusted and confused. He admitted he had never really loved my sister and was just using her to get to me. I was just so creeped out, and I pressed charges against him for his sickening behavior. I was able to get a restraining order, and my sister divorced him almost instantly after finding out. So, she used something traumatic that happened to me and flipped it to make it seem like I'm the one who was untrustworthy. She claimed I must have strung him along for him to think like that, and this test was just to prove I wasn't doing it again. Safe to say, I was extremely hurt and angry by her response, so I told her to never speak or contact me again if that's what she really thought of me. My family found out, and for the most part, they agree her behavior is crazy, but my mother stood by her actions and said my sister was just trying to protect herself from being hurt again. I told her if she had just been honest with me from the start, I wouldn't have been as bothered. There's a right way to approach things and a wrong way. This isn't just wrong, it's also crazy. Why is she so adamant it's my life goal to hurt her? I didn't know that her ex was going to turn out like that, so why am I being punished? She claimed I should have had some indication he liked me, but he really made it seem like he was head over heels for my sister. How am I supposed to know what's going on in someone else's mind? Anyway, the family dinner was earlier this month as it was the most compatible date for everyone's schedules, and I told my parents to expect me not to show up if my sister and brother-in-law were going. It wasn't even because I refused to ever speak to her again. I had just said that because the situation was so fresh. I told my mother I would apologize when I had cooled down a little, and it was just difficult to face them when they made me feel like a horrible person for a situation that was out of my control. My mother assured me my sister wouldn't attend, so I agreed to come. When I arrived, they were both there. It felt like an ambush, and it sort of was. My sister demanded I apologize for my reaction because it was my own fault it happened in the first place. I can't lie, I snapped. I told her she should remove my number and the title of being my sister if she really felt that way. I just need advice because therapy isn't scheduled for another 2 weeks, and I feel like I just dreamt a soap opera storyline. I feel kind of bad because I do understand my sister had her trust broken completely by her ex, but I feel like that distrust shouldn't be aimed at me, but the person who actually caused it. And I was the one who introduced her to the creep in the first place, so I already feel guilty for that. How can I get my sister to see that I wasn't trying anything when her ex was stealing my belongings, that I was just as in the dark as her? I was just about healing from her former marriage, and now this one is also putting me in a very uncomfortable position with my sister, my brother-in-law, and my own mother. Edit. Someone asked what my dad and other family members were doing while all of this was happening. My dad wasn't pleased with what my brother-in-law had said during the August dinner. Then, when he found out about the plan, he forbade him from entering the family home again. My mother lied and said that he wasn't invited, but they showed up anyway. Apparently, he was livid and threatened to call the police if they didn't leave. I left after I said what I said, so I don't know what happened, but my brother called me and told me everything that went down from when I left the August dinner to this month's dinner. Update 1. So a lot has happened in the last couple of days. I had a meet up with everyone, and my boyfriend came with me so I had support during the conversation. Honestly, it was hard to look at any of them for the way they treated me. I'm so thankful to everyone for opening my eyes to the crazy behavior that was happening. In front of everyone, my mother admitted to knowing about the plans from the start. My sister confided in her, and she agreed it was a good idea. She supported her son-in-law openly harassing her daughter. I'm still in shock, and it just hurt so much knowing she would condone this, considering she knew how much I was affected by the first husband. She knew I was having a difficult time in therapy, and it took me a long time to trust people again after that. And I feel like once again, my trust has been broken, and I don't know how I'm ever going to trust anyone again. My sister was not budging at all and kept maintaining she was in the right. She said the only reason I wouldn't apologize is that deep down, I knew what her ex was like. She said I just liked getting attention from him, knowing he was married to my sister. She also claimed I overreacted, and if it's acting, then it's not harassment. I told her she shouldn't expect any calls or texts or just not to be contacted by me until I receive the apology I deserve from both her and my brother-in-law. Speaking of, he was pretty silent throughout the entire ordeal. Probably because my father threatened his life if he spoke badly about me. He did say that the only reason he did it was to placate my sister because she kept accusing him of ogling me, but still no apology from him. My mother told me I was exaggerating and that I should be happy to have passed my sister's test. She actually said the words, "We can all move on now." I was in complete awe, to be honest. How could she think that things would just go back to normal after this? I asked why she was supporting such delusional behavior, and she said it was because she loved my sister and wanted her to be happy. I asked her if she loved me as much as my sister. She said yes, although it seemed hesitant, but I don't want to read too much into that. I told her I wanted an apology for her schemes. She refused, so I gave her the same conditions I gave my sister and brother-in-law. Until I get an apology, I simply am not speaking to all three of them. As a result, I also probably have to go low contact with my brother and dad because they both live with my mother. I mean, I'll hang out with them outside and without the presence of my mother, but if she'll let them is the question. I know some of you have suggested spending time with my boyfriend's family on holidays and occasions, but I haven't met my boyfriend's family before because they live in the US. After this situation, though, I've taken 2 weeks of paid holiday for the end of this month, and he's taking me to meet them for the first time. I hope it goes well because they might be the only family I have now. My therapy session has been moved to tomorrow because I requested an emergency appointment, so wish me luck. Thank you everyone for your help. Hope your hearts are filled with love and happiness. Update 2. Posting this on my profile instead because a few people have requested an update. So, it has been around 9 months since I cut contact with my mother, sister, and brother-in-law. However, I now have some contact with my mother. She reached out and apologized to me in March, just after my birthday, and it seems sincere. She said she wanted to help my sister feel better and thought this was the right way to do it. She apologized for going along with it and for hurting me. She just wanted us to be close again because she thought that since my sister got divorced, we weren't as close. When I didn't call her on my birthday like I usually do, she realized how badly she screwed up and wanted me back in her life. My sister and I still do not speak. From what I know, she is still married to my brother-in-law, and I think they're expecting a baby, or at least that's what I inferred from a family friend's Facebook post. I'm doing a lot better, though. I've become closer with my dad and brother throughout everything. My relationship with my mother is more strained now. I feel like I still can't trust her even though she apologized. I don't think we will ever be as close as we were before my sister's schemes. My relationship is going really well too. He was asking about rings, so I'm thinking a proposal might be in my future. Also, his parents are just the best. They've sort of taken me in, and it's so cute how they dote on me like I'm their daughter. His whole family is just incredibly supportive and uplifting. We're going to visit them again in July. I'm so excited to go back. I love it in the US. The weather is better, the people are nicer, and of course, I get to see where my man grew up. I just feel so much lighter and happier now that I've put what my ex-brother-in-law and current brother-in-law have put me through behind me. I wish her the best with her pregnancy, but that's all I can do since she is still refusing to apologize. This probably wasn't the update you were looking for, but it's all I can give at this moment. Hope you're all having a wonderful day and a better summer than I'm having.